Good morning, children of God.
Good morning.
Woo! So much fun. Last Sunday of the month of June, and it's feeling like summer already. Had a good one, didn't we? So not too much hot air today?
Thank you.
We'll just breathe gently and rest in prayer. Let's begin. Father, Mother God, we acknowledge your presence moving in and through us this morning. With each breath we take, we are open, receptive, responsive, and obedient to your instruction and guidance. And we give thanks for the opportunity to come together to learn, to pray, and to worship in the name, in the nature, and in the power of the indwelling Christ. Amen.
Amen. I have a couple of things I want to share with you this morning. One is from this book that Dave and I found that's from the New York Times bestseller, and quite an interesting book called Plato and a Platypus Walked into a Bar. What does that tell you I'm going to do? The young rabbi was an avid golfer. Even on Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the year, he snuck out by himself for a quick 9 holes. On the last hole, he teed off, and a gust of wind carried his ball directly over the hole and dropped it in for a hole-in-one. An angel who witnessed this miracle complained to God, "This guy is playing golf on Yom Kippur, and you cause him to get a hole-in-one? This is punishment?" "Of course it is," said the Lord, smiling. "Who can he tell?" This other one, this is something that my granddaughter emailed to me. It isn't nearly as long as it looks. It's lots of pictures in large print. But in her loving way of encouraging us to have a nice day, she said, "This one struck a chord in my heart this morning. I hope you feel it too." And it's called Have a Nice Day. To you, date today, from God, subject yourself. Reference, life. This is God. Today I will be handling all of your problems for you. I do not need your help, so have a nice day. I love you. P.S. And remember, if life happens to deliver a situation to you that you cannot handle, do not attempt to resolve it yourself. Kindly put it in the SFGTD, something for God to do box. I will get to it in my time. All situations will be resolved, but in my time, not yours. Once the matter is placed into the box, do not hold on to it by worrying about it. Instead, focus on all the wonderful things that are present in your life now. If you find yourself stuck in traffic, don't despair. There are people in this world for whom driving is an unheard of privilege. Should you have a bad day at work, think of the man who has been out of work for years. Should you despair over a relationship gone bad, think of the person who has never known what it's like to love and to be loved in return. Should you grieve the passing of another weekend, think of the woman in dire straits working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week to feed her children. Should your car break down, leaving you miles away from assistance, think of the paraplegic who would love the opportunity to take that walk. Should you notice a new gray hair in the mirror, Think of the cancer patient in chemo who wishes she had hair to examine. Should you find yourself at a loss and pondering what is life all about, asking what is my purpose, be thankful. There are those who didn't live long enough to get the opportunity. Should you find yourself the victim of other people's bitterness, ignorance, smallness, or insecurities, remember, things could be worse. You could be one of them. Should you decide to send this to a friend, thank you. You may have touched their lives in ways you will never know. Now, you have a nice day, God. Isn't that precious? Get that from your granddaughter. I love it. I love it. Ross is going to read us the daily word today.
Every now and again, I take the opportunity to do it myself. Let me tell you how it works. Rob says, Lord, we need somebody to read the daily word today, and I accept no from whomever. And 3 no's in a row says, Rob, read the daily word. So today, Rob reads the daily word. I live in the light of abundance. I embrace the good God provides. My life shines with the goodness of God. I am truly blessed. Believing that abundance is a gift from God, I embrace it through my awareness and with my appreciation. I celebrate the good God provides by affirming the many blessings within my life that sustain and fulfill me. I give thanks for health of mind and body and for the opportunity to enjoy life to its fullest. I draw to me family and friends, for we have so much love to give and to receive. I appreciate and value the divine qualities of strength, imagination, and judgment which God has instilled in me. I accept my unlimited potential and the provision needed to fulfill my destiny to be the best I can be. Deeply grateful for all that has been given and all that is to come. I embrace the good God provides with joy and thanksgiving. We are taught in Luke, for where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And so we hold that thought, that truth of us. The Father and I are one. And in this holy moment, as I breathe and rest, I move to that place in consciousness that Jesus called our secret place, our inner chamber. And I lock the door, meaning I allow all the thoughts of the day to just rest. All that which is mine to do later to just rest. It will be there for me when I'm ready. But in this holy moment, I listen. In this holy moment, I feel the presence. In this holy moment, that which I need is given. And I'm grateful. with that which I need comes love and peace. And I allow that to move in and through me. To infuse each and every cell of my being. And I am lifted up. And that which I have so freely been given, I then give in my thoughts and in my feelings, for I am the channel through which God works. And this powerful presence moves through me and joins in this room with other thoughts of like mind, growing in strength and power, moving through this place and into our community. Into our country, into our world, and throughout our universe. And I breathe. And I see this movement. And I know somewhere, when someone says, thank you, thank you, thank you. For in this moment, that which you have sent is exactly what I needed. And I am grateful. And that gratitude grows and returns to you. And the circle is complete and full. And as I breathe, I allow this wonder to continue. And then holding this blessing gently, easily, and effortlessly, I bring my attention back to this now, to this when, to this place. And pray as Jesus, our elder brother, has taught us, our Lord's Prayer.
Thy
Yay! Neighbor just called, said, I love the piano. For those of you who aren't up on what's going on, we'll bring you up to date because it's a choice. Steve plays from his heart. Okay? And today, his heart is full. For the prayers that you have given to build his strength to be here. And that translated this morning to here. Isn't it? So for those of you who are going, wow, that worked, you're in really good company. Wow, that worked. Wow, Spirit works. Even in the heat of it, the Spirit works. And so, we then choose. I love how God works. How we will think about it. How we will think about it. The current it is the song that the choir just sang and the piece that Steve played. But the it could be anything that will occur in your life. How will you think about it? What choice will you make? Sometimes you'll be in a circumstance where you say, and I love this one, I have no choice. And we've all been there, yes? Is there anyone who has not at some time said that? If you can raise your hand, God bless you, you'll be in for sainthood shortly. All of us have done that, yes? In this I have no choice. What I have discovered as I've gone back in my life and re-looked at some things, in those places where I have used that phrase, I have forgotten to do one thing first. I had forgotten to go to my source first. I was so sure that I could handle it, that I could be in charge, that I can do it, that I had no choice. But in those instances where I would take a minute, one holy moment, and say, in this, I am your beloved child. Guide me. When I would be willing to do that, then it was never a matter of choice. It was a matter of principle. Stepping out in principle. Stepping out in truth. And that's sometimes very unpopular. When you step out in truth. And sometimes it's a little scary because the last model we had where somebody stepped way out, his brethren said, oh, let's turn him over to the Romans. We'll fix him. Ooh, I don't know that I want to do that. That's a little scary to step out like that. But it was part of choices. Choices to be made. To know who you are, know the truth of you, and step out in it. And I know that every time I have the opportunity to do that, I grow, and I move, and the world is wonderful. And great and wonderful things happen, and they happen for so much fun that you don't even know it. And they happen around you, and you are all proof of that. Because truth be known, I suspect that there are air-conditioned buildings in Medford. Might be a little more comfortable to be in that one, but here you are. Truth be told, the lake this time of the year with my feet in it. Pretty nice. But here you are. By choice. Mine. Somebody just went, wait a minute, what do you mean? Yours. I saw you. I keep seeing you. And every Sunday, you keep showing up. Not just here physically, but in our world. Because in truth, we are never separated one from the other. We're just learning to use new technologies and new ways to reach out and touch people. And yes, it's much better, if you will, if there is such a thing, to be here physically present than it is to be at home in the air conditioning and being a part of this. But if you're in Belgrade, Serbia, it's the middle of the night for them. They're here. If you're in New Zealand or Australia, it's Monday, but here you are. See, we have people from around the world who join us. Sometimes this day, other times at their convenience. We make that available. Right? You make it available. Because this is too important to keep still. The choices we have to make collectively are too important not to be made from the truth of us. From the truth of us. That's a choice to make. Well, I'm really not happy with what's going on in my world. Who can change that? Everybody feel free to raise your hand. That would be me. Okay? But Rob, you don't understand. They, and fill in the blank after that, are doing X, Y, Z. They are saying A, B, C. They just don't understand whatever it is you are reacting to. Choose a new way. Choose a new way. Think about it for just a moment. What unhappy moment in your life, if you chose to think it in a new way, would turn it into a happy one? Just one. Doesn't need to be a monster one. Take a little one. You see, and I do that on purpose because if you'll take a little one and practice with that, and take another little one and practice with that, and take another little one and practice with that, pretty soon the notion of taking on the big ones, the elephant in the living room challenges, it's not such a big deal. Because what you've learned to do is eliminate fear. You've learned to eliminate fear. So then you can make the choice. So you live the Word. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for Thou art with me. Now that prayer doesn't also include, comma, sometimes. No, always. And that's what I'm talking about when I say step out in it, is to make that thought, make that change in the thought, make that change in thinking, and then step out in it. What if it doesn't work? What if it doesn't work? Oh darn, am I worse off than I was a minute ago? That would be a no. I get to change my mind again. I need to change my thinking again. This isn't working for me. Good, change your mind. That's how you're born again. Change your thinking. Change the notion of the world. See, we're doing it. We don't even think about it. I ran into something the other day, and I've been working on it and working on it and working on it, and I finally think I figured it out a little bit. I don't know that I have all the answers, but I think I have it figured out. Now, remember when we were growing up, for those of us who are baby boomer-ish, and if you're older than that, God bless you and thank you because you came before us. And we got this shot, eat all your peas because there are starving children in China. Or broccoli, or cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, pick your veggie or whatever. Okay? We all got that same thing. What was it we were really saying, and what was it that we were preaching at the time? What we were asking for was for all of God's children to be lifted up. Yes? Okay? We want all of God's children to live a better life from our perspective. We want all of God's children to see what a wonderful creation we have here, to enjoy as we have enjoyed. And, you're going to love this, we got our wish. Now, there's some side issues that go with that wish. Part of our lifestyle, this notion of living well, requires a different thinking about how I get from place to place. Early in this country, how did I get from Shady Cove to Medford? Oh, that would be on horseback, 20 miles one day. Yes? Now I do it in 20 minutes. In the middle of China, how did I get for 20 miles in China less than 10 years ago? On horseback or on foot? All-day trip. And now guess what? Vehicles that use gasoline. And the world has raised up. You see, sometimes we ask for things to increase, and yet we're not always willing to accept what goes with that. What does that mean? Because we get stuck in a world of lack and limitation. We want everybody to raise up, but not to change my lifestyle. I get to do it the way I want because I'm the king. Thank you very much. And I choose and I judge, and the world comes up anyway because collectively that's what we have said. Collectively we know that is the truth. Collectively we know that the more we live and breathe the truth we know, the more we express it in our world, the more God says, you've asked, here it is. And so all of God's children are being raised up. And you can point to pieces if you choose, and that's fine by me. I think it's absolutely wonderful. One of the best things that ever happened to us, in my humble opinion, and there's lots of them, but one is this satellite technology. And here's why. Because in the middle of a country with an extremely repressive government, in other words, outside pressures, I could hear the word of truth, the one that we're spreading right now. And they cannot keep me from it. Now that's not true of very long ago. We joke around here about taking the two tin cans and pull the string tighter for communications, right? And yet I would be willing to bet that most everyone, maybe not everybody, but I'll be willing to bet in this room, most everybody has a cell phone, yes? Do you realize that your great-grandchildren, my grandchildren, have no knowledge of a rotary phone? None. My grandchildren are slowly losing the thought of a connection by communication with wire. Slowly. It hadn't happened yet, but it's coming about. Okay? The ability to communicate with anybody in the world. Anybody in your world at the moment. Right now. Right now. That's amazing. That's fun stuff. What message will you send the world? What choices will you make to put out there in the ether? What blessings will you ask and what blessings will you send? What choices will you make? The question that was raised in the piece that Joyce read. With my list of complaints, if I would do a comparison with those that have not, would I rethink some things? Yeah, I would hope. We had I'm just having so much fun I can't hardly stand myself. I just need to share with you. We had a young man who came in a few minutes ago and said, excuse me, where's the restroom? We showed him, he came back and he said, is this a Christian church? We went, yeah, and he left. Now I know where he is. For those of you who want to go hunt him up, he's just right down the road. Okay, he's 2 churches down. was looking at a building this week. I was talking over with our treasurer about some maybes and some what ifs, and do I really want to play that direction? And the answer is I'm not sure yet. We're still working with it. But one of the things that's extremely interesting about this building is within that structure are several different denominations. And I'm not so sure that they're ready for the cult to play with them. I know we're ready to play with them, but I don't know that they're so ready to play with us. And it's okay. Right? There is that blending, there is that melding, there is that merging. How many of you by accident catch one of our evangelical brethren on the tube? By accident mean you were flipping from one golf channel to the other and there one was. Okay? That's how I see them. I don't know how you see it. Anyway. And you start to listen to the word, and what are they saying? You go, good heavens, that sounds like what I heard on Sunday. Now, not all of it, but pieces of it. The stuff that was so objectionable to you and I in the interpretation, this hellfire and brimstone stuff, that is not the truth of us and never was, from our perspective, is slowly but surely being tuned down. Why? Because we're really good at what we do. It's our fault. They're getting it. It's what we asked for. Yeah? How many times have you said in your own prayers, wouldn't it be nice when we could live with one another in peace and harmony? When we could live with one another without judgment as to individual belief. And yet, how often can you say, when one of our brethren has something to say, you go, oh, I need to back up a full step so that when lightning strikes, it won't get me. Right? Still thinking the thoughts sometimes, aren't we? But it's the choice. That's a lesson, is the choice. Now I can listen and hear things that a very short period of time ago I would have found highly objectionable. And say, but it's where they need to be in this moment. And God love them. And I can hardly wait till when they see the light, from my perspective. They think they see the light. And they do, from their perspective. As I see it from mine. But the proof is in the life. The proof is in your living. The proof is the way in which you conduct yourself by knowing the truth of you and living that. That's then when you can hear somebody say something that you just know in your ego human self is the most asinine statement ever made on the face of the planet. And say, isn't it wonderful that God provided me the opportunity to rethink something? And I've had to do that a lot. And it's okay. Let me tell you the result of what happens when you do that. Because it doesn't always have to do about you. It has to do with your world. Okay? Thursday night, my son said, oh man, I really don't feel well. Something going on with the stomach. Not so sure what's going on. Thursday night. And he was already at the lake, the other way. Okay? And one of their friends, who's also at the lake, said, Joe, you need to go see these people, and you need to go see them now. Because that's not right with what's going on with you. Couldn't keep anything down. Really having problems. Okay? And so he went where he was told and guided. And the people he met there said, we need to get you in touch with a surgeon right now. Because you have appendicitis, pal. And he went from that place directly across the street to the surgery. Surgery was performed. And last night, on Saturday night, he's back at the lake. Now, I must point out he's not skiing. Okay? But I want you to look at the sequence of events, because we were playing with this when we spent some time with them and had supper with them last night. It has nothing to do with their beliefs. It has to do with mine. It has to do with my world. I believe that you are in exactly the right and perfect place, doing and saying the exact right and perfect thing for the right and perfect outcome in your life. I believe that to be the truth of me and my world. And when I have the opportunity to see it go to work, I went, yay, God. Now, let me explain to you why that's so good as to what occurred. Here's what can happen. It happened to the young lady who was right in front of him in the surgery. For 4 days, Mom said, oh, I think that's the flu, before she finally took this little one, a 12-year-old, to the doctor. And the doctor says, by golly, you're right, that does look like the flu, but I'm not so sure. Let's send her to emergency. And then they went to the emergency room. The emergency room staff, wonderful people, wonderful caring people, said, by golly, you're right, that does look like the flu, but that's really not what it is. Let's get her upstairs to surgery. And she also had an appendicitis, but burst. Okay, a little more challenging, yes? Okay? Now, in the sequence of things, there are 5 steps to back to the lake, or 3. Which do you think you'd rather have? 3 steps, yes? Right? Because right and perfect is working. Now, it also worked in the other circumstance because there were some other lessons that needed to be learned there. But what I was looking for with Joe, what I saw, is that his guidance was there every step of the way. Joe, what you need to do is do this. And he had the good sense to do that. Each step of the way. When the guidance came, he took the step. He took the action. And the result is perfect. Perfect. That's the choice. That's the choice. Right? And isn't that neat? When you have the opportunity to see that work in your world. Now, here comes the best part. Having seen that work, knowing that it works. Here's the practical part. What do you need to do to put it to work in your life? It's the action step, isn't it? Right? One of the challenges that we have in, quote, New Thought and New Age and all this other kind of stuff, whoop-de-whoop-de, is that we think and we forget to step sometimes. So this week, the choice is first in the idea. That's the first part of the choice. I've now made a thinking shift. And the next choice is to step out in it. And if it doesn't work the way you think it should, okay, think again. Choose again. Choose this step. Loving Father, Mother, God. This step, guide me. This step, make my path clear before me. This step. And step it. Breathe. I make good choices. Together. I make good choices. I make great choices. Together. I make great choices. I make wonderful choices. Together. I make wonderful choices. Take the action. Namaste.